Tabletopped will start after the following messages.
Do you know where the legend of Bigfoot comes from? Or why people leave offerings of beans to the Mothman statue? No? Well, I'll certainly tell you on Myth Monsters. We're a mythical monsters and cryptid podcast that goes up every Thursday, and we talk about how these monsters came to be and how they exist within our modern culture and media to this day. So if you're interested in finding out about kelpies, wendigos, unicorns, or Bigfoot himself, tune in to Myth Monsters every Thursday on all streaming platforms, and please, stay spooky.
Hey everyone, it's me, Nick, from the Tabletop Podcast, and today I'm here to tell you about a little Instagram account called Heroes of Evermore. If you're like me and always looking for new actual plays, this is a great one to consider. They do a live-streamed 5e game that is completely homebrewed and in person, so it's actually people around a table playing together. You can feel how much they like each other, and guess what? They do so much to get you involved. They really tear down the fourth wall so the audience feels like they're sitting there with them. Go check it out. It's Heroes of Evermore on Instagram. That's Heroes of Evermore on Instagram. And also, I hear tale that if you go to Amazon.com and type in Heroes of Evermore, you can find a self-published book about part of the campaign. So you should go check that out if that interests you as well. All right, everyone, I hope that you give Heroes of Evermore a chance, and I'll see you in the episode. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tabletop. Today, we are going under the bed. We haven't done this in a little while, but I am so excited. This is one of my favorite monsters. Theoretically, I've actually never run it, but I'm talking about it with two of my best friends. Who's across the table from me today?
How would you know if you've ever run it or not? Hey, it's me, Daniel.
And you?
It's me, Shade. It's weird that we have a fourth mic set up.
I know, it's someone. I feel like we would only do that if someone was there, but it's always just been the three of us, right?
Yeah.
To my knowledge.
Pretty sure. Sorry, what were we talking about again?
The False Hydra.
The False Hydra.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really cool monster.
Yeah, this is a cool monster that's actually a kind of a homebrewed monster that took the world by storm in 2014, I think.
Yeah, so it was first published on, I believe it was Goblin Punch, back in 2014.
On a Thursday.
Yeah, actually, Thursday. Yeah, I mean, I've got the article pulled up, but I'm pretty sure this was the first origin. Thursday, September 4th, 2014. So we're 6 days beyond its 9-year, nope, I don't do math, 11-year anniversary.
Cool, yeah. And this is a monster that I've kind of heard through the grapevine before, and it just kind of like stuck in my brain, which is ironic because it's all a monster.
It's not supposed to do that.
Yeah, it screws with your memory. So why don't we talk a little bit about what a False Hydra is?
Yeah.
Would anyone like to jump into it?
It's a Hydra that lies.
Yeah, I guess in a way.
My favorite monster. So yeah, it's first and foremost, if you're of a certain generation that grew up with Ocarina of Time, you found these guys. It's Dead Hand. It's Dead Hand. That's what the art was. It's really where the inspiration came from for Arnold K, I think it is, and it is a creature that originates beneath the earth.
From beneath you, it devours. Buffy.
Yeah. Can't go an episode without a Buffy reference.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a pretty cool creature too, because it's not like super. Its stat block is not super fearsome. The whole thing of it is that it has this one ability called like Blind Song, I think, and it's a wisdom saving throw, and if you fail it, you forget about it and you forget about any of its victims. So
Well, you forget about the victims regardless of a save.
Oh, okay.
Then they eat the memories.
Yeah, so it's just essentially like this thing that can be living in a town, slowly eating the populace, and your adventurers could have already seen it 100 times, but just keep forgetting about it. And it's kind of like an interesting way to like narratively drop them into a story of like...
It's like my to-do list.
Yeah, this basically is a living with ADHD simulator. But yeah, so its basic thing is like it wanders around kind of in plain sight eating things and then blind songing and then people just not remembering, but somewhere deep inside of them they do know that something is wrong. And so it's like a really creepy kind of monster. And honestly, we were talking a little bit off mic about this, but it is a monster that feels like a one-shot, that like the twist or like the thing of the one-shot, the main theme, I guess, was then distilled into a monster block. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this would be great if you were going to be doing a Halloween of your own this year.
Daniel, it's not going to catch on. Yes, but I think that you're right in that it is like a perfect monster for a one shot or something. I think that this would be very hard to do in like a normal campaign, actually. Like it is definitely like you go to a location, this sort of happens, and then you leave the location. You know what I mean?
As someone who's run a game where you're trying to remind your players that they've forgotten about someone, you don't want to do that to yourself.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that that this actually works better if the players remember, and maybe they don't remember the monster, but them being adventurers makes them hardy of will or something, and so that they remember the victims.
So yes, but you want to kind of because mechanically the way this thing works is it's beneath the ground and its neck keeps growing, and until its terrible nasty face pokes through the ground, and then it's just in plain sight singing, but that song is what's massaging all the memories away. If you are outside of the reach of its song, you will still remember someone until that song reaches you. Yeah. So I think for a longer reaching campaign, having a beloved NPC that's definitely in this town be a thing that was eaten, and for them to like you to just straight up tell them as the DM when they say, "Oh yeah, where's Bobbity, the potion seller?" Who?
Yeah.
Even though like literally 5 minutes ago they were saying like, "Yeah, well when we get to the town we'll see Bobbity," and you just go, "Who?"
Yeah.
There's never been anyone named Bobbity. That immediately will clue them in that something's wrong and terrifying.
Yeah. And then also,
I think that's
like,
fine to do personally.
One of the examples that goes along if you like Google this monster is your heroes are investigating this village that's been having like some cries for help from the local adventurers guild. They stay in the inn, and the husband and wife that run the inn like tell them about all the weird happenings, but that otherwise things seem pretty normal in town. They go to bed. And the next day when they come down, the husband is gone, and the wife says, like, "I've never been married. Like, what are you talking about?" And like they kind of press her on it, and she's just like starts crying. And it's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about, but why am I crying?" And like that is the sort of thing that you're dealing with this monster. It's a psychological horror thing. And like I said, the stat block is like, it has a bite, it has a claw, it has like very simple things. It's all about the atmosphere that it creates. So why don't we go through the stat block a little bit, and then why don't we actually talk about how we would want to use this monster?
Yeah, would we say it's more or less dangerous than a goose?
What about Goose Hydra?
You know,
that changes things for me.
I am going to say I saw a goose the other day. Its neck was too long. Yeah. I did see a goose that, no, like I'm
you're
like,
saying just this specific goose or just geese in general?
This specific goose, just as a real tangent here. I was in a car. We passed some geese. I like geese. I like waterfowl. I acknowledge they're little monsters, but this thing had an unnatural looking neck, and I couldn't really, I actually had to look away from it because I was not sure if it was injured.
You could not meet its eyes.
It really did bother me. So that goose may be more evil than the
Where did you see this goose?
It was
in this spooky season. Where was this haunted goose?
It was between Arlington, Cambridge, and Medford, that little stretch of like this greenery. I don't know if you've ever noticed, like there's like this canoe rental kind of thing. It was in that area.
Okay, so like,
was it a duck
duck goose?
No.
It had the neck of 2 ducks and a goose.
The Arlington Medford Greenery Goose is our newest Massachusetts cryptid.
Yeah.
It had the neck of like fucking Chuscoos from Adventure Time. Like it was not right. It was bending in weird ways.
It had the neck of 2 geese.
I was genuinely concerned and disgusted at the same time. Anyway,
his father was a viper.
It's a cross hybrid species. All right, so the False Hydra stat block. It is a large, huge aberration, neutral evil, armor class 15, hit points 150, plus 100 for each additional head. So it's just like a hit point sponge.
I'm curious, where are you pulling that stat block from?
I'm pulling it from Skull Splitter Dice.
Okay, because like there are a variety of stat blocks out there.
This seems like
Skull
it's
Splitter Dice, the official stat block of the False Hydra, as presented by Tabletopped Pod.
Because Goblin Punch definitely didn't do a stat block. They just did lore.
Yeah, totally.
I keep wanting to call him Goblin Punch Man. Is anyone else having that problem, or is it just me?
Yeah, it's just you, but I appreciate it. It's a good problem to have. Okay, so the armor class is 15. Said that the speed is 5 feet, burrow 40 feet, so it's like very slow above ground, but below ground it can move. Its strength is a 16, dex 10, con 16, int 8, wisdom 20, charisma 20. And it has like a pretty strong wisdom and charisma saves. It has like a pretty large amount of condition immunities. Basically, like it can't be unconscious or deafened or charmed or anything like that. It has dark vision and a passive perception, and it learns the languages of all of its victims. That's also very fun. The blind song is all hostile creatures.
Wait, so this thing can talk to you?
Yeah. Pretty creepy, right?
Oh, what was it? 8? Oh, that is human intelligence.
Yeah.
It's 16 intelligence.
Because it also eats all the memories of the things that it's eaten. So, you know. But I
was fine forgetting about it, but now that it can talk to me, I don't like it.
The blind song is that all hostile creatures that can hear the Hydra sing must make a DC 15 wisdom saving throw at the start of their turn. If the Hydra sings with more than one head, all hostile creatures must subtract 1d4 from their saving throw. And on a failure, the creature forgets that the Hydra is there. So otherwise, like its actions, bonus actions and everything is just pretty much the same as a Hydra. It's like a multi-attack, bite, claws. The only kind of new thing is that it has a sing, which is the singing blind song, and then the wail, which is kind of another kind of vocally themed attack. But everything about it is pretty simple, and it's actually not too hard to kill. It does have regenerating heads that you could have to kind of like lop off and everything, but it's not like a crazy fight. It's much more about finding out that this thing even exists. That is the thing that really drives people towards it, I think. So what would you guys, like, how would you guys use this monster? It lends itself to the horror genre, but we're not limited to that. So how would you guys use something like this?
I would put it in a place where another adventure was happening, that they were going to have to use like a divination spell or a true seeing something, and then they would get a glimpse of the beast with like this through this magical lens, and then retain that information. Like, okay, you saw this, it's here, and now you don't see it, and no one is acknowledging that it was there.
Yeah.
How do you convince people that there's this monster that no one can see, but only you can remember?
Right. What about you, Shade?
Well, I mean, I think the original post by Arnold K had some great suggestions about like cats can sense this thing, but dogs can't.
Yeah.
You can. It's visible in mirrors.
Dogs can do whatever cats can do. Fuck that guy.
I mean, these are just suggestions. I think toying with the players is always going to be fun for this monster.
Yeah.
I really do think that this is a great way. And you're a monster for doing it, but I think it's a great way to just absolutely remove a beloved NPC.
Yeah.
I
kind of like the idea.
We argue for the removal of a lot of beloved NPCs on this podcast.
We do. I mean,
it's an easy way to make people care.
Yeah. It's low hanging fruit, but it can also be a hated NPC.
Yeah.
Like honestly, Daniel, if you had fucking removed Caleb this way, oh, I would have been so overjoyed.
Yeah. But I would say that like an interesting way to use this as well would be that at like a hub, like you said, maybe there's another adventure that they keep going to and they're like going into the mines and like that's the adventure that you've told them that they're doing. But every time they come back because there's like a dead end and they need dynamite or something to blow this tunnel deeper, is like you come back, then like the weird stuff is like kicked off even more, and then they kind of go back to the tunnels, and then like maybe that even leads to the Hydra's lair or something, but that the actual like it is a thing that makes the safe zone feel unsafe. You know what I mean? No, is that?
No, I think that's. I think that's, that's good. You want to, I think long gestating is also good because we were talking about it as a one shot, but having it be something in their hub world or their hub town can be a lot of fun. Yeah. But that's something where you've got to just find the right opportunities to show the weird. And I would really for that advocate that it's more that they keep hearing about disappearances or perceiving one themselves. But that's also dangerous because, are they going to perceive it at all? Yeah. Maybe it's people coming from out of town going, wasn't there a milkman here or something like that?
Like a frequently visiting trader or something who's like, hey, where's like Bobbity? And then your players are like, what? Who?
Again, you can't because no one would remember, right?
Well, no. So like it's the influence of the song that.
So if a trader has like left and then comes back, he has.
And the loss happened in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
But when he leaves again, he may have heard the song by then and has forgotten.
Correct. Yeah. I always read it as like the consuming of this person's identity and existence adds a new context or a new like lyric verse to this song, which is really just a nightmarish howl.
Yeah.
And that new lyric is what removes them. So you may have heard the old song, so you don't remember the mayor, but you haven't heard the new song and you still remember
the mayor's
Jimbo,
son.
The mayor's son. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it can be used. I think that the thing about it is that memory is such a hard thing to play with in a TTRPG. It's just like so hard to like really get us, because like your players are not your characters, so your players are always going to remember the other thing. And as soon as you say like, yeah, you don't remember that or whatever, you're immediately tipping them off to something that is happening, like as a player, not as a character. So I think that it's hard to do this, and like it takes a pretty deft touch to do it in more than this is the monster of the week that you guys are fighting. If it's like a longer thing, like you were saying, Shade, I feel as though you do really have to play your cards. Like maybe this is something you only do once in a while.
This feels like filler episode. Like if you need time to write the larger campaign or you're working on something, throw this in to like sort of distract your players for a night.
Yeah.
And not like, this shouldn't be like a long, I don't feel like this is a long stage adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm fine with it being a thing that is a background long stage thing.
Also just don't make it a part of the adventure at all. Just make it part of the setting. Like,
that's right. I think that's the way it was written as well, because when Arnold K put it out, there wasn't a stat block.
Yeah.
So the idea was very much like, this is flavor. This is terrifying flavor for you to throw in, and I like that. There is a explanation on like how to attack it and things like that. But I like the idea of it being just something unsettling in the back, but
something other.
but it's hard to do that over a long stretch of time.
I do like, I mean, I kind of like the idea of like you could use it even in the Mines of Fendelver or whatever that module is. Like you could have the mine be the thing, and the adventure is going through the mines, and then once they're done, like kicking off into your own story is like, there's another path in this mine that goes deeper and it goes under the town. And eventually you find that there's like something that was here. It's not here anymore. That kind of stuff gets my goat going. I think it's interesting, and it could be like a nice transition into another thing. It also could be a nice transition from one genre in the campaign to another. Like if you're in a pirate and then you're like, we've hit land on this island and that's where you're going to spend some time, but you're kind of shifting into a horror sort of vibe for the month of October or something. And then, stuff's happening on the island, that kind of stuff.
Is pirate a genre?
Pirate? High seas?
Yeah, I would
say
call
so.
that a genre.
Maybe
I would put pirate under adventure as a genre.
I mean, but like in the way that like cowboys are a genre.
Are cowboys a genre?
Yeah,
Because you have westerns, I guess.
Yeah.
They have swashbuckling
Yeah.
adventures.
So I guess pirate could be a genre.
What were we talking about?
Wait, what were we talking about?
Frank, wait.
Who? All right. Well, this is like a really great monster. I think that people can find online for free, and
I like that it grows underground.
Yeah, it's kind of
that's a
weird,
lot
like
of
a
fun.
plant.
Yeah.
It's kind of freaky.
I mean, we didn't talk about one thing, but the larger this thing gets, the more powerful it gets.
Yeah, because more heads, right?
Yeah, and it can also eventually dominate people.
Ooh.
Which
That's
is
my kink.
So that's something worth considering. Just
Yeah,
that it can get stronger.
It can in a weird way kind of level with the party if you leave it long enough, which is interesting. Again, that's like longer term, I guess, but even in a shorter term, you could have it go from like a 3-headed Hydra to a 10-headed Hydra, and that's pretty scary, especially if that stat block that I read earlier is the one you use. Like 10 heads is another 1,000 hit points, which is wild.
Jeez.
So I think that you can kind of make this whatever you want, but like it's the flavor that makes it so exciting, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, everyone. Yeah. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this return to the under of the bed.
Where hey, what's that coming up through the ground under here?
That? Oh God, it's biting me! All right, everyone. We will see you for the next time.
And in the meantime,
Yeah?
make sure to check out some of the other great things on the Helios Network.
Yeah, something like, I don't know, maybe some of the older shows like I'll Be Quick and You'll Be Dead, or maybe a newer show, or one of the originals like Banter and such, or Trouble HQ, all fantastic and all ready for you to binge episodes on your favorite podcatcher. All right, everyone, we will see you next week for another episode of Tabletopped.
His name was Franco.